So my topic was on the autism spectrum, and in fact, I am on the autism spectrum, and so I think it might give me a little bit of credibility, so to speak, because I've experienced a lot of the things that I'm going to share. I was diagnosed in 2001 by Dr. Deborah Lee, and throughout my life, I've had to cope with some of the challenges that I've faced. And as a result, the subject of autism is it played a big role in my life, and it is very important to me. And so one of the experiences that led me to want to talk about this particular subject was I was in an intro to psychology class in my freshman year of college, and the subject came up about autism. And at that time, I was a shy, quiet kid and didn't really like to participate in group subjects or group discussions. And so I just listened around. And this one girl in the psychology class made the statement that virtually all people on the autism spectrum have incredibly high levels of intelligence. This really amazed me because it was such a monumental error in her point that I was simply baffled at how misleading that information was. And she didn't mean to do that. I wanted to interject about how people on the spectrum can vary in numerous ways depending on where the person is on the spectrum. So, Autism Speaks stated that autism refers to a broad range of conditions characterized by challenges with social skills, repetitive behaviors, speech, and nonverbal communication. And 1 in 59 children are diagnosed with autism, and boys are 4 times more likely to be on the spectrum than girls. One of the best quotes for to explain the concept of spectrum was on Autism Speaks, and it stated, "We know that there is not one autism but many subtypes, most influenced by a combination of genetic and environmental factors. Because autism is a spectrum disorder, each person with autism has a distinct set of strengths and challenges. The ways in which people with autism learn, think, and problem solve can range from highly skilled to severely challenged. Some people with autism syndrome disorder may require significant support in their daily lives, while others need less support and, in some cases, live entirely independently." And some of the indicators of being on the spectrum included a strong desire to be alone, which I experienced that in my elementary days whenever I just wanted to be alone in my mom's classroom during recess because I didn't want to be bossed around. Having a difficulty with maintaining eye contact, that was another big sign of a person on the autism spectrum, and I definitely have that too, even to this day. And being able to recognize the feelings of other people, that is totally a symptom of those on the spectrum. And I almost always progressed more slowly than neurotypical people in socially. And so even though I would always progress, I would always be the same amount behind everyone else. One of the surprising symptoms of autism is that some people engage in what is called echolalia, and that is repeating words. And I did not realize that I did this, but apparently, whenever I was watching my favorite shows as a kid, I would repeat exactly what the characters said. And I was completely unaware of that until years later. One of the absolute biggest and most obvious signs of me being on the autism spectrum was I had very specific passions, and those passions I would always talk about. And so it it would be that I just didn't talk about anything else because nothing else interested me. And I also had, whenever I got nervous in my younger years, I would do this nervous flapping motion, and it was out of excitement most of the time, but it was also out of nervousness. And so that was a big part of it. And there's a whole lot of other different signs of someone being on the spectrum, but those are the main ones. I think that we should educate ourselves on what autism is because there's so many people on the spectrum, and there's so many people that need to feel loved and need our help. And so I pray that you would consider getting more educated about it and to show that love to someone with autism.